Hey everybody, Taylor Lyles with the Greenville Home Builders Association, and this is the Think Big podcast. Good morning and welcome to the next episode of the Think Big podcast. I am your host, Taylor Lyles, Chief Executive Officer of the Home Builders Association, and we have a very special guest here today, Mark Lynch of Jeff Lynch Appliance and TV Center. Mark, we got two topics we're going to cover today. We're going to talk about Jeff Lynch and we're going to talk about your campaign.
Awesome.
Perfect. So let's start it out. Let's tell the people listening about who you are, what y'all do, how long you've been involved in the HBA. That's the big one I want to tell everybody about.
Well, again, I'm Mark Lynch. I'm the guy managing Jeff Lynch Appliance Center. We're celebrating our 73rd year this year. My father started the business back in 1951, and I took the reins in 85, and it's been an awesome ride. You know, God's the owner. Anytime we hire a new employee, we talk about that. I'm just here to provide what our people need to make sure we can win every day. And we work for the customer. That's our boss, right? We got to take care of our customer. If we don't, somebody else will. But the HBA, we've been involved, my whole life. Years back at the home show, we just finished this awesome, big, huge Southern Home and Garden show again. Thank y'all for all the work you put into that, because I've heard it was back bigger than ever.
Yep.
I think everybody's so happy now with Trump back in office, and like he said the other night in his speech, America's back. And so people are ready to do stuff again. Buildings picking up, the economy's going to grow. I know we have tariffs to deal with, but we'll get through that. America can come back and we can get better quality products again. Made in America means something. But I thank y'all for the work at the show, and we love being the sponsor of it because it's very important. You know, Dustin, our builder manager, and all of our team, all of our salespeople there, we really appreciate all the efforts y'all do, and we enjoy coming through the year to all your meetings and speaking and the golf tournaments and fundraising events and everything it takes to build community here where we all live and go to school and raise our families. And y'all do an awesome job, Taylor. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
So we love being a big part of it.
Title sponsor of the Southern Home and Garden Show, and you are correct. It was one of our largest ones, largest vendor turnout, largest consumer turnouts, and you hit the nail on the head. It truly is back.
Yes.
You know, post-COVID, we started seeing a decline just with vendor participation, consumers not sure what they were doing. You know, mask, no mask, different regulations, but I think 5 years post 2020. We are back, and I'm thrilled to have y'all as a big partner in the association and the Southern Home and Garden Show.
It's an honor. We love it.
Well, we appreciate it. So looking at that, Jeff Lynch been around, kind of a cornerstone business in our market. I mean, one of the last remaining almost 75 years old. There's not many businesses left. They've either retired, closed their doors, got bought out. That's huge.
Yeah. We're blessed. You know, my dad was awesome and had 5 locations at one time and things like that, sized back down. He was waiting to see what I was going to do. I'd always worked there and would come home from college and make extra money to take back to school. And when I got married to Sarah, and then later Cole was born, and we had a new thing. You know, it's time to build our life and go get it. And we had some new energy, and we had some young people come in our sales force, and we had some great vendor partners that were working with us. And a lot of these guys were similar in age. We're all about 30 years old, and we got to go make it happen, you know. So we set plans in place, and God's first in our business. I'll say that about Jeff Lynch Appliance Center. He's the owner of everything. We had a great chapel meeting this morning from 8:05 to 8:35 with Dr. Robert Whaley, who taught today. Steve Keys is on staff. He teaches on Tuesdays. We've got to sell a washing machine and a sofa, but you know, it's more important that we're leading people to Christ and discipling them, because we're there 8 hours a day, and that means more than anything.
Yep.
But so anyway, yeah, when I met my wife Sarah, she's a commercial interior architect, so God knew I needed her. She was the one I prayed for, and she's been a big blessing because she does all the design work on the store and for customers, and she does commercial architecture and interior design too, and so that's why we have a beautiful store, and we've grown through the years. It wasn't an ego thing. We had to move and get a bigger facility to work out of because we were growing. We had to. We're out of room. We had to hire more employees. When we first moved from Lake Forest Shopping Center in 1993, we bought Tate's Interiors building when they retired. They were a furniture store. They were working out of an old A&P grocery store. So we went from a 3,200 square foot showroom to a 22,000 square foot building. That was a big deal in 1993.
Yep.
People thought we were a new business that had come to town. And we started warehousing inside that building. So I thought we got it all figured out now. We got rid of all of our outside rental spaces and places we had to store goods. You know, back then, if you bought something, you might have to drive down the road 2 miles so we could load it up on your truck like a dishwasher if you're do-it-yourself or whatever, because we didn't have our inventory on the same premises. We didn't have any room. And the first month we moved there, our business tripled. I came through South Carolina, USC, Gamecocks. Go Cox, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we've had a good year.
We have.
Anyway, advertising and public relations is my major, so we put a marketing advertising plan in place and went into TV and full color, full page, double truck ads and all that stuff, and our business went crazy. And it never left that new level. So all my employees are pulling their hair out every day because we couldn't bring in and store what we were selling. And so I had to go lock my office after that first 30 days at the new location. And that was at the corner of East North and 291 across from the train.
Yep.
People remember that. And I had to go buy 6 trucks, hire 12 delivery installers, get like 4 more salespeople. And one day, bless her heart, my secretary was standing outside at the center area of the store where we kept catalogs, you know, because we still had paper back then before the internet and all that stuff. And she's standing out there like this, flipping her pen, and I went up to her and I went, "Hey, are you all right?" She's just staring out into space. She said, "This new store is great and everything, but I can't handle it. You know, I've gone to the doctor and he's taken me off of work for a 1-week leave because I'm shot, I'm burnt out." I'm like, I don't get all that, you know. Just the numbers might have moved a little bit, the decimal point changed. How could it be more work for her? And so I said, I'll do her job for a week so I can understand it, because I've done it. You know, my dad taught me every area of the company. So I went in and I was the cashier and I'm making out the deposits and I'm doing payroll, and every day, like by 10:30, I hadn't even finished making the deposits out because the phones are ringing off the hook. I'm like, we got to get some help in here. You know? I'm like, I'm so sorry. I didn't think about your position. So we had to hire 3 more girls because the office was overwhelmed too. And I just, you know, you don't learn that in school, but boy, those were good problems to have. So another 30 days, at like 60 days, the business wasn't running us. We were kind of back in charge again, and we could breathe a little bit, and everybody was calming down. We had a lot of training to do, but, you know, 6 more delivery teams and all that stuff, 12 more people and more salespeople. And anyway, we settled out, and then we just put plans in place to grow to see what we could maximize the square footage return on investment out of that store, and we did that, and then it's time to move again. Then I started working with Earl Furman of Earl Furman and Associates.
Yep.
Known him through the years. He's been with us in our growth, and we started looking for another new location. And it took us 7 years of looking, and every place we looked, it wasn't right. The location wasn't good. It wasn't buildable. We couldn't renovate it. It just didn't work because it wasn't our time. God knew we weren't ready with the maturity of staff. Finally, Hollingsworth passed away, and then all this land back here started selling. And we had been looking at that, but the guys from Charlotte came and developed Green Ridge, and we weren't invited to that because Best Buy was moving there, Lowe's, Circuit City, H.H. Gregg, all of our competitors, and we're a fierce competitor, right? We have to be, and we're just one small store. We don't have 2,000 locations in the country like Lowe's does, or Home Depot, or somebody, or Rooms to Go, or Mattress Firm. And anyway, but Earl said, but there's one good thing about this. Lowe's is moving up the road in a defensive position because all of Simpsonville was growing in that area, and they were coming off 85 on the Woodruff Road, and they had to go past Home Depot to get to Lowe's, so they just pull into Home Depot. So Lowe's moved up first in line off of that area of the state where the growth was, and so that opened up the location we're at now. And so I remember my dad telling me one time, if I'd have done this, no telling where we would be now if we'd have invested in a location back then or something. And I heard that if I'd have, and so we went to bat and we started working on purchasing the Lowe's property. And finally, there was a deed restrictions page in there, and because Lowe's isn't going to sell to a competitor, move in right behind them, because for years people just pull up and go, oh, well, where's Lowe's? Well, it's a Jeff Lynch, we'll just go on in.
Yep.
And we didn't do that when we sold our building. I wouldn't sell it to somebody in our business. But they knew we were serious, and we'd already told them, this is what we'll give you, we'll pay for it, we're ready to go. And about 30 days later, when they had said, we won't sell it to you, God opened that up. Sarah and I had prayed, if it's meant to be, it'll work. If it's not, God, block it completely. We don't want it. It's got to be your blessing.
Yep.
And Earl called and says, hey, guess what? They called, they're going to sell it to you. So we started a design build thing, and we bought it that July of 2005, and we opened in April of 2006, and it's been awesome. Now we're wondering if it's big enough, you know.
I was just about to ask, is this space big enough?
Yeah.
So you may have to go into the old garden center where the old garden center was.
Sarah's already got plans drawn. She's just waiting on me. But we'll see. But I remember one time Neil, my vice president, and I were there. Lowe's got all the racks out of there. And we went up to that building one Sunday after church, and we're looking in that big vacant 132,000 square foot facility. Right, so we came from 3,200, 22,000, 132,000, and we're looking down that building that's all wide open. We went, oh, you know, how are we going to do this? Well, that's when Sarah comes in, and she made it easy. You know, she knew how to back in, listen to what we would want to do, everything we always wanted to do, and she designed it. Because I couldn't have done that without her. You know?
Let's get real for a second. Are you dumping money into marketing but barely seeing any results? Go Digital can help. Using their marketing matrix, they zero in on your target audience and engage them where it matters the most. Go Digital acts as your full-service marketing team, saving you the hassle and cost of building an entire in-house team or trusting random gurus you found on the internet. It is also important to note that they don't just serve home service businesses. They own one. They've been in your shoes. They know what works because they've lived it. Wondering why I know so much about them? It's because I've been a client for them over a year, and I couldn't be happier with the results. So if you're ready to start winning more leads for less, hit the link in the show notes and schedule a free 20-minute consultation today.
But anyway,
it's an incredible team.
What a ride, what a blessing.
Well, I think the beautiful part is when you put God first and you've created a culture at Jeff Lynch. I mean, you've got staff there, employees that are 25 plus years.
Yep.
I think Rowdy just hit...
He's almost 30.
30 years.
Yeah, Glenn Ashley retired after 30 years a couple of years ago.
Yeah. So you've created that culture. And the beautiful part about it is I feel like, not to change from the Jeff Lynch history, but going into it, I think it's a great segue, creating the culture there and now taking it to the campaign trail to create culture in the state.
Yeah.
So naturally, I wanna pick your brain on the why behind you wanting to run and hear your platform and the whole 9 yards. But being able to build a successful business, create career paths for people, like truly changing their outcome when they retire in 30 plus years. They've done well. You've created opportunities for them. How do we apply that to running for the congressional Senate seat?
Yeah. Well, a lot of people retire, with this.
Yeah.
So let's go to work. Knowing what I know and what God has done for me and blessed me with, I can't sit back and not do something.
Yep.
Our pastor, Dr. Whaley, today taught on being. We become into a new creation. We're a new creature in Christ when we're saved. We're that, but then there's a doing part. Being and doing was the sermon this morning. And I can believe, but I have to obey God's word. So if there's a calling, and I meet these guys years ago, and I get invested into what's going on in the country, and I learn at these people's seminars about the security issues in America and what's going on with the Islamic infiltration into this country and all the stuff coming across the border and our invasion of communism and Marxist regimes into this country to take our country from us. And you're a young guy and you've got a lot of time left, and we all don't know how much we have, but we want to do what's best with our time and make a difference when we leave here. People talk about, what did you do with that dash between your year you were born and the year you go home to be with the Lord if you're saved? And that's important. We want to leave a legacy and make a difference for the next generation. I've got 4 grandchildren now, and it's just important that we do what we can. My theme on our campaign trail is Fight for America. Trump's back, and he's opened the door. We've got a window of time, and we need to do something with it. We've lived through the takeover of this country. They didn't come in here with bombs and jets and tanks and AK-47s. They took it over with words. And it's smart. There's not a fence around us. We're not in a prison camp. But you and I have paid for the takeover of our country through our taxes. And so we've got an elected official that is our employee, that they won. They're there to represent you and I, to do the right things. But these guys that don't have a solid foundation in Christ, they're very vulnerable. And money, that verse, God tells us, the love of money is the root of all evil. That is such an important verse right now. We follow the money, and you see what's happening. People are selling out. They're selling our children into sex trafficking, right?
Yep.
They've sold our country for money. We're seeing all the corruption everywhere, and all the new Doge audits that are happening. They're finding trillions of waste and abuse and fraud in our government. So our employees, like if I have an employee stealing from me, and we've had some people that are desperate do desperate things, or the money's just too strong of a temptation. They want to take it, and they rationalize it off with the evil in their mind or whatever, and they believe it's okay, and they do it. Then later they go to jail or lose their career with me or whatever, and they get fired. We can't have people stealing from us, and you're definitely not going to steal my grandchildren. Think about that, y'all. If your child or your grandchild was taken and you couldn't never find them again, and they're in some sex trafficking thing, and we've worked with some of these people that have escaped, those people that have those people in their custody using them for prostitution, young little boys, girls, all ages, they can make over $20,000 a week with one child. If I sell you a washing machine, I get the pleasure of the margin off of that sale one time. But I can sell a child 6 times a day, and they have an average life of 12 years in that. And it's millions and billions of dollars. It's bigger than like cocaine wars or something back during those times. And there's so much money involved that these people will do everything they can to keep it. we saw on TV the other night with Trump's speech, the Democratic Party wouldn't even get up. You know, I'm a God-fearing, love Jesus Republican. My mom was a Democrat. My dad used to laugh about that because he says every year there's an election, whatever, your mother erases my vote. But the party back then was necessary. That's a checks and balance. It's okay. Some of us like no cream in our coffee. Some of us like a lot, like we were talking earlier. That's freedom, right?
Yep.
But if our party years ago, back during the Obama administration, voted in Charlotte at a convention, a Democratic convention, to remove God out of the party, whose party is it? There's only one other choice. That would be the party of Satan.
Yep.
And, you know, that party's been taken over, and a lot of people that see this may not agree, but come talk to me, let's go through it, let's study that or whatever. And so we're doing evil stuff, and everything we're doing, every vote we do, and that kind of mindset is hurting the country, hurting our children, hurting the economy. A border, not having a border, you kid me? In my daily meditation books, one time years ago, when the border became a big topic every day, I'm studying the Word, in God's Word, and it says, you know, if I don't have boundaries in my personal life, it's like a country without borders. It's open for devastation and ruin and destruction. So God tells that in my personal life I have to have borders. I can't just go do anything I want to do. That's not going to be good. I have to have boundaries with who I hang out with, where I go, what I watch on TV, what I listen to, and definitely a nation. Any other country we go to, there's a big word Trump's using right now. It's called common sense.
Yeah.
Duh. When I go to any other nation to go on a vacation to Europe or wherever, there's rules. Mm-hmm. We don't just walk in and they just let us do anything we want to do. You have to have a visa and a passport and be vetted to come there. How long are you going to stay here, and when are you leaving?
Yep.
Right? Why are you
and
here?
What are your
got to give the reason. That's the purpose of travel. Yep. So, boy, we've got a lot of work to do. And so, you know, taking good care of people and treating people the way I want to be treated, and just loving the Lord in my life and applying that into our business, because God's the owner of everything. Our business has been hugely successful. I'm debt-free individually and corporately since 1999. And I have to get an ad machine out and balance my checkbook, right?
Yep.
See what's going on with my Visa bill. You know, if I don't ever look at it, don't inspect it, it's like this guy taught me one time at a buying fair, our buying group, that we bring these great speakers in. He says, don't ever expect anything to be what you think it is unless you're inspecting it. Like at Christmas, we get wild. Statement. You know, I love Sarah, I'm going to buy her all this stuff, and then the Visa bill comes, I'm going, I don't remember all that, you know. How'd we get here? We can't do that in our personal life. We can't do it in business either. So Doge is really something that's always been there, but if the wrong leadership's there,
Yep.
They don't really care, especially if the goal is to destroy this country, right? Our education, the borders, the medical stuff that's happened with COVID and the forcing of vaccinations that are killing people and all the stuff that's happening, it's different today because people that have authority in those positions, law enforcement, government, whatever, military, if they're not our people, they have a different agenda.
Yep.
It's scary right now with big pharma and all the money to have enemies of our nation making our medications that we may have to take for high blood pressure or something.
Yep.
Right? It's scary that made in America, we hardly make anything anymore. And we saw a big lesson with that with COVID, right? The companies that had factories all over the world, if anybody sneezed and closed down for 2 weeks, you know, you could come in here and buy a real popular KitchenAid refrigerator, and it's on back order for 14 months.
Yep.
We had a constant list of over 200 people for those 2 years, trying to hope people would be patient and wait on the one they wanted to get, because we couldn't get them sometimes. And it wasn't us, it was everybody, because we're relying too much on all the foreign production everywhere. So this time of reckoning we're going through with tariffs, it's going to be painful a little bit. We've been living wild and crazy with a different agenda behind it. It's going to be a little painful, but we'll get through it. America will bounce back. We talked about that to our sales staff and warehouse people today. We got to focus on what's in stock. We had a company call us, a furniture company, and say it doesn't matter even if you ordered it back in October last year, the new tariff price is what you're going to be charged. It's going to cost you 25% more. Well, no, it isn't. You know, in business, I love Trump. Like when I watched him interviewing Zelensky the other day, we're not going to pay 25% more and eat. That's their issue.
Yep.
Their cost went up. If you bought a sofa in October, and it's not going to be in until next week now in March, because it takes a while sometimes for special custom designed furniture.
Correct.
Is that fair to charge you 25% more? You've already paid me for it. You're just waiting for me to call you. Hey, Taylor, your sofa came in. We're bringing your beautiful sofa out, but it's 25% more. You're going to say, no, it isn't.
Yeah, no. No, I've already agreed on this price. Yeah,
so that's common sense stuff too.
Yep.
I think that's why Trump's good. He's not a politician. He's not a lawyer. He's just a smart business guy, right? Yep. That's me. That's all I'm trying to do is what's right. I can't call my customers and say you're going to pay 25% more.
Yep.
No, the furniture manufacturer is going to pay that. They don't know that yet because I haven't called them, but they can do that. Or guess what? There's other brands we can sell.
Correct.
If you're not going to have ethical, moral ways of doing business with us, you don't have to have your stuff on my floor. This is our store. We're the brand.
Yep.
Right? So they're going to get a Zelensky lesson.
I love it.
You know,
I think what's interesting on the tariffs front, National Association of Home Builders is actively working with Trump and his staff to get the building products exempt from tariffs from Canada and Mexico and China, just due to he's got a very pro-housing approach right now.
Yes.
He wants that home attainability and that American home ownership back. So National has been working with Trump and his staff to work on exempting building products. So that's something we're, fingers crossed, we're still hoping that kind of holds true. We've got some South Carolina congressional members, not Lindsey Graham. He did not sign on to it, unfortunately. But Timmons and several other, they did sign on to it, supporting that. So we've been working with them on that. So looking at kind of a 30-year career politician, going to unseat him, you know, everybody's got different views of what Lindsey has done, what he hasn't done, what he's kind of stood for and what he hasn't stood for. You know, policies kind of come down to your mindset and how you want to push it and truly how it benefits the state that you represent. Looking at, you know, term limits are a hot ticket item, tariffs naturally are a hot ticket item. One thing that from a federal level that we've had input in on is maximizing, or I shouldn't say maximizing, limiting impact fees that local municipalities from a federal level can put in place. So you've got municipalities coming out saying, hey, we're going to do a $5,000 impact fee because they see the cash on the front end. We've talked with Timmons and several people about putting that in place. You know, there's a lot of policies. What are some of the policies that you feel like you would come in and start day one, I should say, kind of pushing?
Well, one quick definition is everything I'm going to make a decision from, like I do in my personal life or business or at the U.S. Senate. When we get there, it's just, you know, it's got to line up with God's Word first. That's the first filter. It's got to make it through. If it doesn't, it dies there. Second is the Constitution. And the Constitution's a small little pamphlet that'll fit in your shirt pocket. Unfortunately, we have an annotated Constitution now most guys use, and that's just a version we've created. The book's this big. It weighs like 20 pounds. I'll show it to you next time at your office. We bought one. It's $278. It won't fit in your pocket. And it's man-made version of laws that we've got off from God's laws, and now we're doing our own laws, and now we can control people with it. So that'll never be used. We got to stay on the Constitution. term limits is a funny thing. This pastor called me the other day. He said, I've been around a while, and I remember when Lindsey Graham first ran for office. He said, you know what his campaign theme was? Term limits.
Of course.
Wow. So he's stuck to that, hadn't he?
30 years in.
30 years. So term limits, just understanding history, like with George Washington, he only ran twice because he felt that was enough and we need fresh ideas again. It wasn't a law, it's what he decided to do. And term limits is up to the voter to vote correctly.
Yep.
And get the bad person out and get the new person in. On the other side of it, let's say Trump was 40 years old and he's doing awesome. I'd hate to term limit him, for one term or something when we have a great guy that understands everything better now and he's been there 4 years and he wants to go another 4 or whatever. We shouldn't pull somebody out. I don't term limit my employees. Now, age, production quality, having the ability to still do the job we hired you to do. I term limited myself after racing motocross for 17 years because I can't ride as fast as I used to when I first started.
Hurts a little more when you fall.
It hurts more. You don't heal as quick. So some of that's a natural progression anyway. I'm definitely for lesser government. We, the people, are supposed to be running everything. And if I get elected, my only authority I have is to use the Constitution that protects what God gave me from His Word. Those are called unalienable rights. And the Constitution protects somebody, an elected official, to serve the people and not get off of that. So, but you've got to have a background based on your belief in Jesus Christ, and you've got to have a strong background so that you can make good decisions. And, we're all for building. That's a huge thing when we're growing. The economy's good. Our gross national product's awesome, and we're doing things. We're bringing Made in America back, and because we need our steel produced here, lumber, all that. One thing I would do a little bit differently if I was in is I would talk to Trump and we can't do something just overnight, flip a switch.
Yep.
It's not fair to push that onto the people and the manufacturers in the world. Give them a chance to transition over here. I can't imagine what it would be like if I was a car manufacturer and we're in Mexico or Canada or Japan or something. We got to move back over here, get another building, find a location, get all the employees trained, and get all that equipment set up to manufacture cars. That's not a 30-day event.
Nope.
So give us some time and ease back into this, but hold to the dates.
Yep.
And do it a little smarter. Maybe they're backing off a little bit with some of that now and making some adjustments for some of the car manufacturing and other things. So that's good. We don't want to hurt the country doing something too fast with a knee-jerk thing. That we need to do it. And some things they can come back now.
Yep.
And
I think the one caveat, bringing mills back into the U.S., huge opportunity. I think one thing that the federal government's going to have to look at is these conservation easements that have been placed on these timber farms just by conservation groups saying, hey, you shouldn't sell this, you shouldn't cut this, you shouldn't actually make a profit off of the land that you own or the trees that you've planted. So that one big thing from conservation easements, federal government is going to have to come in and make a play to remove them, because statewide you can't remove them. So I think from a mill standpoint, we could have mills up and running in 60 to 90 days. We've got closed mills right now that are still capable of being active, but they're shut down because they can't get the timber in because there's so much conservation easements in place. So I think that's one big issue that the federal government is going to have to look at.
Yeah, that's a touchy subject. South Carolina's known for the beauty, the lakes, the mountains, the rivers. What a great place to live. We're close to the beach, mountains, everything. We have 4 real seasons. It's awesome. We all love a good snow and go sledding. We love the spring that we're moving into now. It's beautiful in the summertime.
Yep.
It's awesome. Fall, gorgeous. we had some land near us that our kids were looking at buying, and it has a conservation setting on it, whatever. It can't ever be sold. The government can't start owning all of our land. That's not good. We don't need to overload the land either with too much growth. It needs to be planned out better. That's one thing people loved and still do about South Carolina. We do have country, we do have rural areas, we have acreage where we can have horses and cattle still, or plant a garden. You know, that's been an issue. We're all worried about our food getting taken away from us. So we got to manage all of that better, manage the growth, you know, and think. Some of the city planners probably need to have an education or an update about just what they do, because we're selling too much stuff and there's too much in the Agenda 2030 thing going on. And Greenville was, you know, is my home. I've lived here all my life, and we live in Woodruff now, but it's Greenville. But all the stack and pack housing and everything like downtown Greenville is getting a little bit out of hand. We're overloading that area with too much, and it's stressing our infrastructures of water and sewer and power and everything, and traffic. And, you know, we can't just add more lanes in some places. It's already built out and it's decided. And we're known for one of the best downtown renovations ever. All kind of manufacturing corporations, engineering firms, the colleges, me, you know, that's like a deal closer. They get a guy they want to move and move him to Greenville. Let's go downtown Greenville and go to a beautiful restaurant, have a nice evening, or fall for Greenville. They're like, oh my God, I love your downtown. And other states and counties and cities have come here that's a model for people.
To try to duplicate
Yeah,
it.
we have our bridge downtown Greenville on our refrigerator display. I think you've seen it. Sarah made that, and it's on all these different, it's an awesome little thing. But if we keep selling every little square foot inch of land and build it out too big, the beauty of the downtown, people won't want to go. Woodruff Road, people hate it. It's overbuilt, and we're stuck. You know, it should have had 4 lanes each direction from the get-go. If we're going to plan that, we got to plan more long-term, not just the deal of the day. You know, the world is getting too quick, and a lot of these politicians are the same way. They're self-serving. Everybody's looking at AOC and some of these different Congress people, and the job might pay $170,000 a year, but they have $30 million somehow. Wow.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, that's attractive. Everybody wants to go into politics now. You don't have to do anything. You can just take envelopes of money from evil people and just take the money and have a great career and get out and take the money and go retire.
It's those magical brown bags behind the second stall in the men's bathroom.
We're selling out our country, right? I don't like employees that do that, right?
Nobody does.
So, yeah.
So looking at kind of how people chase the money and whatnot, we know that there are a large majority of congressional members in place that have followed that platform. They go in, they make 170, and they come out millionaires. They got $100 million in retirement. It's magical.
And you and I paid for that.
Exactly.
Awesome.
It's those lobbying dollars. So faith-based platform, making changes. What else would you like the people that are listening to this podcast and hear it on social media, what else would you like them to know? Builders, trades, realtors. If you're looking for a flooring partner you can trust, look no further. I'm here to tell you about All About Flooring. All About Flooring is a family-owned business with 3 generations of owners that know the flooring business inside and out. They work in residential and commercial projects for both new builds and remodels by providing high-quality customer service and installation for carpet, area rugs, hardwoods, laminate, luxury vinyl, and more. Y'all, they even provide professional carpet, tile, and upholstery cleaning. At All About Flooring, they're more than just a flooring provider. They're your partner in delivering top-tier results that your customers will absolutely love. You can find their website linked in the show notes or Visit their 9,000 square foot showroom at 2111 North Pleasantburg Drive. Now, let's get back to the show.
Well, my whole thing is, I'm God first, absolutely 100%. That's going to be how I make every decision. He owns everything. I'm just trying to be a good steward of this opportunity. When I've seen the blessings and favor God has given me and my family by obeying Him and doing all of this, it gives me the opportunity at this time in my life with my son Cole and Stevie. They're ready. They can run the store. Third generation. They're going to do awesome. They get it. They're the same way as me. That the acorn didn't fall too far from the tree. They blessed me. Stevie, my daughter, said, "Dad, do you know how this makes me feel as a daughter that my dad would go to D.C. to kick butt and do something and make a difference? Awesome. I'm so proud of you." And that really touches me that my kids feel that way about it,
Yep.
And they both have 2 children. We've got the 4 grandchildren, but hey, I'll still see them. I'm not going away. It's a one flight to get there, an hour and a half to get back home, direct flight. Awesome. So we can do that. But the next thing, it is America first. We're talking about employees, our employees. I think Trump would love to have a U.S. Senator from South Carolina that's working with him. Lindsey Graham was against RFK, Tulsi Gabbard, partying the J6ers, horrible. He didn't leave the tax cut bill that Trump wanted in the recent bill. Trump's all upset about that. Trump is apologizing publicly that, hey, it's my fault. I endorsed him, and that's how we got this rhino in here. And rhino's a soft name, Republican in name only, the acronym for that. I think the correct name for that, if you're doing things that's hurting America, hurting our children, hurting our education, hurting the economy, funding the war machine, the military-industrial complex, because that's one of his nicknames, warmonger. It's all about the money, the money, the money. People are not going to do what's right. They're going to take the money and vote wrong. I'm not going to do that. Maybe I do. I don't think I will. I haven't done that in 40 years of running our company.
Yep.
I make good money, and I live nice, but my employees see it come back to them. That's why they stay 30 years till they retire, because all we've ever done is reinvest to make our job better than it was yesterday. It's got to be better. My son asked me, what's our culture? Because he's a next gen, and they have these next gen training meetings in our buying group that we're a member of, and we're in the top 50 of the largest dealers in the country that are independent appliance furniture retailers. It's awesome, and God's blessed us with our staff and all that. But I said, Cole, we don't really have a written culture statement, but I said, I can tell it to you. We love Jesus Christ, and we're the Navy SEALs of this industry. So anything I've ever done in my life, I want to do it the best I can.
Yep.
And make a difference, and do it in a way that would honor God in everything I do with my life. And so I bring that to the U.S. Senate, and I don't think Trump would ever have to force me to do the right thing. I'm going to do it because I want to, because God did the right thing for me. He gave me His life. That's my life first. There's no greater love than he that would lay down his life for his friends. And I'm willing to do that and sacrifice because I got to go. I know too much. I know, when I say that, I know too much of what's behind all the evil. I can't sit here and not go run for office when I can make a difference. We need to definitely lower our taxes. That's always what everybody talks about. Trump's pushing that now. Elon's another businessman he brought in. I'm a business guy. We know how to run an adding machine. Let's find the excess waste and the fraud and abuse and get rid of it immediately. That's what I do in my company every day, right? Or we wouldn't be here. I'm the David guy, and I'm a short guy too. There's a lot of people taller than me, but we're fighting the biggest industries. And the appliance industry years ago, when we did an evaluation of the company when I bought the business from my dad, the government put in a 35% negative multiplier in our industry because we're fighting Circuit City, Best Buy, H.H. Gregg, Lowe's, Lechmere, Montgomery Ward, Sears, and some of these businesses I've mentioned, they're not here anymore. We've had them all, and we're still here because we're the Navy SEALs of this industry and we love Jesus. So we treat people right, we treat our employees right, we treat the customer right. I understand who my boss is. It's you and your wife when you want to come buy something. If I do you wrong and don't take care of you, what are you doing?
Going somewhere else.
Right, you're never coming back. So we get that. So it's just better long term. We don't need to create trouble for ourselves like we've done in this country. Man, we've got a cleanup now of a mess of abuse from the enemies of this country. And again, the word rhino is called traitor.
Yep.
I'm sorry, but that, if I'm doing stuff that's allowing an invasion into this country of terrorists, it's not just drug cartel. These are people that are coming in this country that are at war with us, that hate us. When the planes hit the buildings on 9/11, these people that are coming across our borders when they were in their countries were cheering that they just got a big hit on America.
Yep.
Right? We still have the American dream. Anybody that wants to come here, we have a process for that. We already have great immigration laws. We have to vet them and make sure that's who they are. Just like if you come apply for a job for me, we're going to see who you are.
Yep.
You can't be a Lowe's employee coming in undercover to steal my business. You can't be somebody that's not a citizen of the country. If you've got a record where you've murdered and killed people a couple of weeks ago and the police are looking for you, we're probably not going to hire you. But if you did that a long time ago and you've cleaned that up, we're going to give you a chance at my company. Everybody makes mistakes.
Yep.
But if you've repented and changed, let's work with you. Those are great employees.
100%.
Right. So everything that we do is going to be. It's just pretty easy to do the right thing. So we can make a list here of all the broken things there are in the last 4 years that happened with Biden. What a joke all that was. When we're leaving $85 billion worth of military equipment in an ISIS-led evacuation, we lose 13 of our soldiers that day. That is horrible. Then we paid for that. We donated that military production of all their equipment. They need to be a pretty fit army, right? Then we're sending checks for $8 billion to Iran. But here's some things that Lindsay's done. It's all in the news. You can go to X and just search Mark Lynch, and you'll see all the podcasts and articles that Fox News and everybody's putting out there. We're putting them out there. It's truth. We're not making this stuff up. Back when Biden was the president, he wanted to appoint this judge. Judge Herson is his name. There were 3 people in the Republican Party in the Senate that voted for it. Lindsey Graham was one. He approved the appointment of that judge. The first couple of weeks Trump was in office, he signed an executive order to reverse, in his executive order, to stop and ban child mutilation surgery for transgender surgeries. Right?
Yep.
And guess who overturned that? Judge Herson. The rest of the Senate had enough discernment to say, that's not a judge we need to appoint. We're going to all pay for that now. Can you imagine if your kid went to school, a public school, they're selling them on maybe, hey, you can be a girl if you want to, even though you're a boy. God made you a boy. But if you want to be a girl, you should do that. And your son comes home, Dad, I think I'm going to do it. And they've already kind of approved it and starting surgeries for that. Well, thank Lindsey Graham for helping with that kind of situation. That's horrible. The tax bill, Trump told Lindsey, get this done. I want y'all to write a great tax cut. We're going to start bringing money back. That's what will grow this economy. We're taking too much of the money. God, just the savings that DOGE is uncovering, we can really lower taxes because we're abusing all the abundance of tax that we're collecting off the citizens that we work for, right? And we've got to make it more efficient. And he didn't put that in there. I don't know. My wife says, Lindsay's the gift that keeps on giving. We don't have to try to come up with points. God will protect his people that love him, and he'll destroy the wicked. And we're seeing Lindsay's career coming to an end. Mm-hmm. He can't stop it. He's flushing himself. And God does that with enemies. He turns what they would want to do to us back on themselves. And he puts people in, and he takes people out in authority. Yep. And the other thing I want to do is just give our police, first responders, and the military the right to do their job. We don't ever need to go to war unless it's been a congressional decision. We've lost every war since World War II because we made the decision to go. We didn't make it constitutionally like our forefathers designed it. That's a last-ditch thing to put our young people into war and get their legs and arms blown off or killed. We don't need to do that. So we can make a bunch of money doing it, right? Yep. One missile has a lot more profit on it than a washing machine. And Lindsay and some of these guys are all about keeping a war going because it's big bucks when we don't even need to be there. Come on. I like the way I would do it, and Trump's doing it. Let's go talk about that. Two men that run things can get together. Trump did that with Kim Jong-un, Rocket Man, had good conversations with him. And I think he quit sending missiles out. They didn't hit anything, but he let them understand, you need to be cool with that. We're the United States, right? Yep. And there is security and strength. Our other presidents recently, before Trump and after Trump for 4 years, were defunding the military. They're letting our cities burn to the ground. Why is all that? The people that are in charge, that have the authority in those positions, are enemies of our country. Mm-hmm. So today, Taylor, you're either a patriot, like you and I are. We love America. We love our families. We love the opportunity we have here. This is a safe, awesome place to live and be free. But you have to have rules, and we have to follow them. If nobody's ever going to get arrested or stopped for a horrible thing or burning the city to the ground, we gotta fix that. And why? So we got to get our people back in charge, where we're actually going to enforce laws again. I mean, when I was in a high school fraternity, if we painted Phi Delta Kappa on the bridge and the police called us, we were there every Saturday for 10 hours doing community service work and scraping that paint off that column. We weren't burning the city to the ground for 4 months, destroying this country. So again, we've seen a war, a takeover of our country that was crazy. And the people are tired of funding our own demise. And so if you get a guy like me in that'll follow what God wants to do, we're going to do everything that's right for you and I and our families and the safety of our children in this country. It's the greatest country there is. We got to save it. So again, fight for America is my theme. That's what we're doing. We're not here to help destroy it. We're fighting to keep it and get it back to what, when I was a kid, what this great country was. Yep. We'll do it. And it's happening fast because we got the right people in leadership again.
That is correct.
Yep.
I love it. Mark, so just so they know, if they want to do any campaign contributions, if they want to support in any way, I think the website is lynchforsenate.com.
Yeah, Lynch for Senate, F-O-R Senate.
Okay. And then remind them of Election Day.
The main election, and a lot of people forget about this, but it's the primary. The primary is the first thing I have to get through. That'll be June of next year, 26, around June 9th, 10th, something like that. Yep. And so if we get through the primary, then I'll be facing a Democrat candidate, I'm sure, to run to see who goes. And again, we need the party that serves God and this country and loves life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness to get in, not evil enemies of our country.
Yep.
Amen.
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 Amen to that. Well, listen, Mark, we greatly appreciate you being a part of today's podcast on the Think Big with the Home Builders Association of Greenville. We thank you for your partnership. Y'all. And we look forward to continuing this conversation. We may have to have a part 2 once we get a little closer. But again, Lynch for Senate, F-O-R, Senate.com. And it'll also be linked in the podcast notes. Y'all, if you enjoyed today, Keep listening. We can't wait to see you back for the next episode of the Think Big podcast.
All right. Thank y'all.
Thanks for listening to the Think Big podcast. If you can do me two big favors, if you can subscribe to the podcast to continue getting updates whenever new podcasts drop. And also, if you can scroll to the bottom of the page and just give this podcast a review. We want to continue pushing it out to more people, sharing what we're talking about, and educating more people in the building industry. I would also like to say a huge thank you to two of our sponsors, All About Flooring and Go Digital. If you're interested in sponsoring the Think Big podcast for 2025, be sure to reach out to the HBA of Greenville today. Thanks.